people that won gold medals at the Olympics. And they were going, yeah, we wear men's and kids as well. And I was like, what? You're professional. And this is like, like the 20th century. Like, what are we doing here, people?
Sandra and I are absolutely pleased to be joined by two pretty powerful, influential women. Ida co-founder and CEO Laura Youngson and Orlando Pride midfielder and reigning NWSL Shield and championship winner Summer Yates. Laura, Summer, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you, guys.
It is nearing the end of the NWSL offseason, Summer, and it's been an offseason for you that we hope you've been able to relish in the winning and the championships of it all. But we also hope you got some time to have fun and relax. What did you do this offseason? Anything really fun or relaxing to just take a break from it all?
Yeah, I think the first thing that was super fun is we had a big parade back in Orlando when we all got home. So that was awesome. The turnout was amazing. So that was a lot of fun. Went to Mexico for a week, spent some time on the beach just relaxing. And then I just went home to cold Washington and hung out with family and, tried to relax as much as I could, but still prepare for this next season.
It wasn't a long off season, but I think that's a pretty good round of things to kind of hit on. Championship parade, time in Mexico. I think you're doing off season okay for yourself. But we're meeting once again, and it's basically preseason. Teams are starting to report, players are starting to report. I mean, what's the vibe? What's the mindset? Are you just going absolutely all out? Let's defend the title. How are you feeling going into preseason?
I'm super excited. I think for us, this was just only the taste for us. I feel like a lot of teams try to get stagnant when they win a championship or anything, but we're like, we had so much fun last year. Let's run it back. Let's do it again. So we just want to have fun. We're super excited coming into the season. We thought we'd be a little bit more burnt out, but no, we're excited, full of energy, ready to go.
That is good to hear. It is good to hear. Not at all burnt out, ready to rock and roll. Laura, we also have you joining us on this interview. You are a co-founder and CEO of Ida. It is a footwear company that is exclusively building cleats for women and girls. But how did this come about? Take us through a little bit of the origin story of Ida.
Well, it started because I have what I think are quite normal feet, but the industry thinks are small. And so I had to wear kids' shoes to play. So I am nowhere near Summer's league of playing skills. I just love playing. But yeah, I had to wear kids' shoes to play. And I was like, this is so dumb. Like, does this happen to everyone? And we had a crazy story. We climbed Kilimanjaro with a group of all women, played the highest altitude soccer match ever and set a world record. And as part of that, I've got to chat to all these sort of ex-professionals. So Laurie Lindsay came on the trip. There were other sort of people that won gold medals at the Olympics. And they were going, yeah, we wear men's and kids as well. And I was like, what? You're professional. And this is like, like the 20th century. Like, what are we doing here, people? So instead of perhaps mounting a campaign, I decided to learn everything there is to know about footwear and start a shoe company to solve it.
Just simple, just easy. I'm going to go out there and just start a shoe company and solve this.
Yeah, basically.
I think that's my follow-up for folks that are not familiar with Ida. What are its beginnings like? Obviously you just touched on it a little bit. You just said, I'll just go ahead and do it. But what are its beginnings and what is it now, really?
Yeah, I think if anyone's read Shoe Dog, which is the Phil Knight story of Nike, I kind of describe Ida as like shoe puppy. Like I made the first shoe in my kitchen, baked in the oven, like learned how to manufacture, learned how to we were like scrabbling around in the early days for cash, just trying to like make one shoe just so that we could get it on the foot of people. And it's so bad that we call it the Franken shoe because it looks so ugly. And I just feel so much pride from like how far we've come from this idea of like, hey, we need to like just filled with this passion of like, I got to make shoes for women because there are running shoes for women. And we're told all the time that you need stuff like that for women. But then when it comes to soccer, there's literally nothing. And so like our feet don't change between when we play sports. So why is there not the protective equipment and gear? So like going down this wormhole of like, right, we got to make shoes and learn how to make the best shoes. And it's kind of been this wild ride of growing from like a little like e-com business. We're now in Dick's Sporting Goods. We're like working with players like Summer. It's incredible. And at the core of it, innovating just purely for female athletes. Like it's been really interesting to see how little research there was before, and just like how much we're pushing the boundaries in terms of what we know about the female body and how it interacts on the field and off the field as well.
You are hands down a doer. It's actually really cool to hear you talk about this because you realized there is a hole missing in women's cleats and footwear, and you were like, I'm just gonna do this. And it clearly it's snowballed and become this incredible thing that is Ida. But Summer, for you, you're a professional athlete. You've just been living in men's cleats. I mean, I know I played too. How did you get involved in this?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always wore men's cleats or youth cleats because I also have a very small foot. So, I mean, yeah, and I just kind of saw them through Instagram, and then they reached out to me and a couple of my teammates, and I was like, wow, this sounds really cool. This is something I would be interested in doing. Reached out to my agent and got in contact with them, and yeah, I'm part of the testing initiative right now with a few other NWSL players. So we're all testing them out, giving our feedback on what we think of their new boots, helping them design other cleats and boots and whatnot. And so, yeah, it's been really exciting. I love the cleats so far. I've had the chance to wear them a couple times, so it's been really good.
Nice. I mean, and Summer is like one of a ton of players who are part of this research initiative, which is something that really kind of caught my eye. Laura, can you maybe talk a little bit about some of the research that kind of takes place in within IDA and the development of these cleats?
For sure. So, I mean, Summer's like a part of this wonderful group where we're building a truly professional boot for players. And I think from IDA's inception, we've always put the athlete at the center of the design process. So it's really simple, but asking women what they want and then putting it in the shoes, like mind blowing. Right, exactly. And it's one of those things where you're like, okay, well, why aren't we listening to women? Because we're the ones that know our bodies best. So everything from like what foot pain people were experiencing, to looking to the different places like ankle pain, knee pain, like how does it all like work in the kinetic chain with our bodies? Like how are we interacting with the surface, things like that. And in terms of what we've been able to do with research, we love research collaborations. So we've been able to work with top universities to do a load of testing on the shoes and really push the boundaries of what we know about how women and the shoes are interacting with the surfaces and what surfaces we'd recommend which for different shoes, things like that. I mean, obviously, forefront of everyone's minds is how do we reduce the injury rate in soccer? It's one of the big things. And I think we've tackled it from a couple of angles. One from like, how do you reduce chronic pain? So things like fatigue. If you've got miscellaneous foot pain, which we often hear of players playing, which like reduces your recovery time, through to the acute stuff. So non-contact ACLs is the one that everyone is really trying to understand more about because it's such a blight on the game and it takes people out for so long.
Yeah.
What's maybe one of the biggest differences that people don't realize between a men's cleat that's designed for a male foot versus a female soccer player?
I think the things that we start with, it kind of fit and form. So women tend to have narrower heels and we tend to have wider toes. So how our toe like box is quite different to men's foot. So what that means actually in reality is like you're trying to make it fit at the heel, but then you've got squishy in toes and like your little toe hangs off the end and it gets really painful, or you have problems under the ball of the foot because where the sole plate is not bending in the right place for a woman's foot. So there's all these kind of micro changes that you make, but actually it adds up to being this like really big change. And it's, for me, I think it's one of the factors that influences people playing in sport. We talk a lot about teenage girls dropping out at such a high rate. Like you walk into a store and there's nothing for you and you're like, oh, go over to that section, the boys section, fine. And then you've got something that's just a little bit uncomfortable, so then you don't really want to go back, you don't want to play. And so if you can remove one of those barriers through shoes, then I think it opens up this whole world for then like girls to continue to play and to enjoy playing and to feel like they belong in the sport, which is just so incredible for kind of the lifelong benefits that you get, regardless of if you can make it to be a pro athlete, just enjoying being able to play sport.
I love that. It's very refreshing also. You touched on it a little bit there with so much of what we see and hear and read about, speak about on this show, even when it comes to not just the ACL injuries, but lower body, knee injuries, things like that in general for the women's game. And there's always this conversation or this outcry really even about like more research and this and solutions. And that's all great. But it feels like finally now maybe we're starting to scratch a little bit of the surface of what those solutions are, what they could even look like. And perhaps for some athletes, that's Ida, that's your cleats. And then looking at the player list here, Summer, there's a number of NWSL players and a couple of your own teammates on there. Has there been like a little bit of like information sharing between you about like how these cleats are fitting or working? And if you had to find yourself as a shoe salesman, what's your pitch to your teammates on this particular cleat?
Yeah, it's funny. We were actually talking about this at breakfast this morning. Because we were talking about just people having, foot pain on the outside of their foot because they have to squeeze their foot into a narrow shoe, which is a men's shoe.
Yeah.
And all that. The toe box for Ida cleats are definitely wider. You can feel it right when you put your foot into it. And that alleviates a lot of that foot pain on the outside. And we were talking, we were like, why are we wearing these boots that hurt our feet? Like, we can't be in something that hurts our feet when this is our job. Like, we wear these cleats more than we wear other shoes. Like, we have to be comfortable in what we play, and so much of that is just finding the right boot to fit your foot. So, I mean, when they came and they scanned all of our feet, they could tell exactly how our feet are for research and helping to design the next generation of cleats. But yeah, we talk about that all the time, and I'm like, well, I mean, these are made for women. You should probably try them. Just, if you don't like them, you don't like them, but everyone has their preference. But, I mean, these are made for us, and that's, like, the thing that can sell, I mean, on itself. It's made for us. It's made for women, and seeing them get into, like, the pro level now, it's really cool and really special.
There's not enough that is made for women with women at the forefront of the innovator's mind and the research behind it. It is really cool to see this. And yeah, I mean, athletes spend so many hours a day in cleats, so many hours a day, every single day, year round, essentially. Think of what that's doing to your foot. It's really cool and fascinating. This is just the tip of the iceberg, Laura, for Ida and for this company. What's next? Maybe what's on the horizon that the company is already working on, or like the next 5-10 years, where do you hope this is going?
Amazing. There's so much to do. But I think what's interesting is we're just continuously growing and looking for better ways to serve the female athletes. So we're never complacent about where you've got to. It's always like, oh, can we make it better? And interrogating players for their feedback to make it better. But immediately on the horizon is actually we're going into youth cleats. So girls obviously start changing through puberty, and we've had so many requests from parents for lower sizes. So we've actually come up with our own range of youth cleats that are launching, I think, early next week, which is amazing. And they're out there for those players. I mean, some of the girls we talk to play 6 or 7 days a week, and so they really need something that supports their foot. So we've been doing a lot of research in that over the last little while. Obviously, coming up later this year is the pro boots, and we're really excited about them. So, to be honest, I just am so excited. Every year brings a new insight or challenge or opportunity to innovate. And the more we dig into it, the more we learn about the female body and the more we're able to support athletes. So it's just super exciting.
Laura, I have the plug for you here. Pre-sale begins Friday, January 17th on idasports.com. You can also get them in stores at Dick's Sporting Goods. I got you.
Nailed it.
I love it. Oh my God. It is so refreshing to sort of talk about this kind of stuff. And I know just going back earlier was mentioning about the list of players. Something else that caught my eye was that some of these players, not all of them play in NWSL. Some of them play in other leagues. Is there a plan to maybe get more players involved for Ida? And was that maybe perhaps by design, making sure that you were getting research from athletes in different parts of the globe?
Yeah, for sure. And I think what we're seeing is there's quite a lot of commonalities between the leagues, and there are differences. And so I mean, everything from kind of being flippant about colorways and what color your shoe is kind of different when you're in different markets. But I think at the core of it is, as you were saying, Summer, you're playing in these all year round. So can you make them the best they can be, and can you look at what surfaces people are playing on, and can you improve that experience? So we've been working with athletes really across the globe to improve and continue to innovate, which for me is so exciting, and I can't wait to kind of continue to grow more. I mean, we get to work with players who are both in the finals. We were kind of rooting for both teams, but I'm very pleased that you won. But it's so great, like for us, like being able to support all the athletes on the pitch is incredible.
All right, Summer, so we can watch you this year in NWSL with Orlando Pride, rocking some Ida cleats. How many goals, how many assists in these cleats this year?
Hopefully a lot. Hopefully a lot. I'm not gonna put a number on it, but hopefully a lot. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, don't put a number on it.
Goals.
Yes, then you can always score more. I love it. Laura, Summer, thank you so much for chatting with us about this. And Summer, good luck this year.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.